Hey, good morning, everyone. Welcome to Kickassery. This guy right here, my name is Dale Maxwell. And what is Kickassery? Honestly and truthfully, what Kickassery is this is my opportunity to talk to some amazing influencers in my personal life, to the people who have either directly or indirectly influenced me. And it gives me the opportunity to showcase these people that I've learned so much from, and I can show them to the world. Who do we have today? Today I have the one, the only, this Kenny Pittman. I've learned so much from this guy. He has no idea. He's a very, very humble guy. He is a huge community guy. I'll let him kind of tell you a little bit about what he's doing right now in his little intro elevator pitch. But I'm super stoked to have him on today. So, Kenny, good morning. Who are you? What do you do? Where do you come from? Regale us.
Well, first of all, let me say good morning, Dale. It's good to see you again. It's been many, many moons, but it's nice to see you finally face to face. So I appreciate the opportunity to be here this morning. Kenny Pittman, well, I do a lot, actually. Let's start off with what actually pays the bills. I have a payroll company here in Eagle, Idaho, called PESWIES. That is an acronym. People like to call us P's, We's, P's, Y's, Pest Wise, whatever they want. We don't care. As long as they use our services, we're happy with them. And we've been doing that for about 17 years here. So we're a local family owned and operated payroll support service company for Idaho businesses. So that's my main thing. That's the main thing that I do to put a roof over my head and to feed my kids. One of the things that I'm pretty proud of, though, recently is I've taken a part-time job with the city of Eagle. And I did that by actually running for an Eagle City Council seat for November of 2017. And believe it or not, I had enough people that liked me and voted for me that I've become Eagle City Councilman. So I'm pretty excited about that. And I've had several meetings already, and I've fallen in love with it. Not the politics side of it, but just the community involvement side of it. So that's basically keeping me pretty busy right now. So that's what I'm doing right now, Dale.
Okay, so you are an amazing business person. You are a father. You are a community leader, and now you are a elected official.
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, so I'm just going to shift myself out of the way here, and it's just you now, and you're just going to.
It's the Kenny Show, not the Kickassery Show anymore.
Exactly. It's just going to be the Kenny Show. Good morning, Michelle. Thanks for being here. Kenny is amazing. Michelle, you are an awesome. She's here every show. Summer, thank you so much for being here.
Good morning, guys.
Summer has kind of turned into our welcome wagon. She's like, hey, welcome to the family. And I don't think you remember this dude. Do you remember this guy?
Oh, my gosh, Jason. Yeah. How the heck are you, buddy? Don't show any of those bad pictures of me golfing.
I really don't like playing golf with Jason because he hits farther with his irons than I do with my drivers, and that guy is just insane when it comes to
the best part about Jason, though, when you golf with him, he's your ringer. Yeah, that's why you in. For sure.
Yeah. Okay. Real quick. I remember one time we were playing, and he was playing with irons all day, and he was hitting further than we were. And I don't remember which hole it was. He's like, do you guys mind if I just hit one driver? Just one. That's all I want. We're like, okay. And we're like, okay, go. He's like, no, I got to wait. What are we waiting on? He's like, well, I'm waiting for those guys on the next green to move. And we're like, you're going to one drive the green down there? He's like, yeah, that's what I do. And so he waited until they were up putting on the next green, and he just goes, and it rolled in between somebody's legs up onto the green. And they were like, where did that come from? He's just waving at it.
That's funny.
So, all right, dude, I have to brag on you a little bit, Kenny, because I love to network. I love face-to-face networking, whether it's in networking meetings, whether it's at chamber events, whether it's, a group of guys on the corner. I love to network, and I have learned so much. When I first started in specifically business to business sales, you really took me under your wing, and you and I were just talking about it. That was what, how many years ago? 12, 15?
No, I was about 17 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah, 17
About
years ago.
17 years ago. Yeah.
You totally took me under your wing. And a couple lessons that I absolutely to this day cherish is I used to have this saying that it's not who you know, it's what you know. It's not what you know, it's who you know. And that was my thing. And you actually stopped me one day and you're like, actually, Dale, that's not right. And of course, I'm young. I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? That's not right. That's what everybody says, you know? And you said, no, that's not actually right. It's not who you know, it's who knows you.
Correct.
And dude, that changed my world. Absolutely changed my world. That very simple change in terminology changed my world. And in networking, you're so right, because I can say I know anybody from the phone book or from, whatever, but if they say, yeah, I know Dale, yeah, and give examples of how they know me, that's relationship.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly how you build it. And when I first started networking and marketing, I mean, that wasn't my goal in life. To be honest, I wanted to be a police officer. I've got a general law enforcement degree, and I thought, I just want to serve the community and protect the community. I've always felt that in my heart. So I wanted to be a police officer, and I went through all of the things that I needed to do it. And then I actually sat down and just prayed about it and just said, God, where do you want me? And apparently he didn't want me in the streets. He wanted me hitting the streets in a different way. He wanted me hitting the streets in a networking and marketing and a relationship building way rather than protecting the streets. And so, I followed his will, and God has blessed me ever since that day. It was in my heart to be a police officer, but, sometimes you've got to give up what you really want to give others what they really need. I mean, plain and simple, that's just how it works.
That's a really humble way of saying it, man. And the thing that I really, there's so many things I respect about you, Kenny, and I truly appreciate your friendship, even after all these years. I mean, we went years and years and years, and one day I just got a wild hair up my butt and I called you and you're like, oh, Dale, what's going on? It's like it'd been yesterday, But dude, your humility, because you are a freaking rock star in your business. You are a rock star in the community. When I start talking to people, even after this many years, and I start talking to people in the community, I say, yeah, I know this guy, his name's Kenny Pittman. They're like, oh my God, oh, he's so amazing, and it's not to blow air up your skirt. It's just that you've been in that community, you've been in that business. You're now an elected official. You're now making policies. You're making a bigger impact on your community. And yet, dude, you're one of the most humble people I know. You, of anyone that I know in that community, could have a huge head and it would be legitimate because of what you've done, what you've accomplished, the impact that you've had. And yet you're just like, just another day. We're good.
It is, and that's all it is. I couldn't do all this without God and my wife. I mean, I've been married almost 26 years in May. It'll be 26 years. Happy anniversary, by the way, if you're watching, Teresa. She has been such a support. She's given me the best, children that I could ask for. She's humble. She's compassionate. She loves the community just as much as me. She's not a social butterfly like me, that's for sure. A lot of people don't believe that I'm married because she doesn't go to a lot of functions with me, but that's not her thing, but she lets me do what I need to do. And without that support, I just don't think I'd be where I'm at today. So I've got to give kudos to my wife. I love you, Therese.
Good, dude. And it's so funny because my wife's not a social butterfly as well. She'd rather just hang out at the house with the kids and just do house stuff. And I'm like, get me out of that. I gotta go do something. I gotta go see people. I gotta hug people. I gotta do,
Yeah.
And, give me kind of when you first started at the position you're in right now, because what is your official title at your business?
At the payroll company. So I'm self-titled. Because I started the business with a set of twin sisters, Marcy and Darcy, believe it or not, and we started on September 10th, believe it or not, 2001, the day before the towers got hit.
Wow.
And we're thinking, oh my goodness, what's going to happen now? Because the whole nation shuts down when something like that happens. And ever since then, we've just been so blessed, by who we are and what we do and what we provide for the community. So I self-titled myself as vice president of marketing, although I am the only marketing person in the company.
Yep.
So I self-titled myself that, and they've given me that title as well. I think I've earned it up to this point. And so, my basic job is to go out there and build relationships in the community, just to let people know who it is that we support, the businesses and their employees, and what I can do for them. Because everybody that's doing payroll that has one employee or more, Dale, they have to do the same amount of paperwork. They have to have a software program. They've got to have something to do the things that you have to do when it comes to payroll. And so we provide another option. And so I just go out and give them the option, give them the information, and I let them make the smart business choice, whether it's with me or whether they outsource with someone else. I've done my job if I've told them that they shouldn't be doing it themselves. So, that's basically my role out there. The funnest thing to do, though, for me is to be out in the marketplace. It's to actually be out in the market, marketing not only the company, but myself, to build that relationship with individuals out in the market. If I can't go out there and let them know who Kenny Pittman is, how am I supposed to be able to sell or market what, my tangible item of doing payroll for them? So, and the only way to do that is to get in front of people. That's to go to events. That's to go to leads groups and networking groups and relationship building groups. And there's all kinds of groups out there that, provide support for marketing people and for sales people. That's how you and I met. We met through a mutual friend or acquaintance. That relationship became a friendship. We then started doing networking groups together to build that relationship more and more. And so that's the way you do business in Boise, Idaho. I'm sorry to say, it's not cold calling. It's not, knocking on doors and soliciting. It's actually building relationships. And once you do that, no matter what product or service that you provide, people will buy from you because of you, of who you are.
Absolutely.
So
that was probably the hardest thing for me when we moved to Oklahoma, to go from, because I had spent 11 years building, business relationships and learning from you in the Boise market. And then we moved to a smaller community in Oklahoma. Well, my lack of knowledge or my naivety or maybe my pride, I don't know what it was. I just thought everywhere did business like that. I just thought that that's the way business was done. And I had, because of you and a few other people, I feel like I got pretty good at relationship building, that relational sales and selling yourself first. And that's something I learned from you as well, as selling yourself, not your product. You're selling yourself.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
When we moved to Oklahoma, nope, that was not how they did business. It was, if you think that the Boise area has the good old boy system, nothing compared to where I moved to. And it was hard, Kenny. It caused me to really back up, and I had to learn a whole different set of skills. And because I came out of Boise thinking, yeah, I'm the stuff, man. I know how to talk to people. I know how to build relationships. I know how to do this. I get down there and I'm like, I don't know anything.
I don't think that's the case, Dale. I think you're absolutely right. There's different ways to do things in different areas of the country, plain and simple. If you're in an industrial area, if you're in a place that has millions of people, it's really hard to make those connections, those one-on-ones, those relationships. And they do business over the phone, and you build the relationship over the phone just because of traffic issues or meeting space concerns. Just all kinds of reasons. But there's never not a good time to shake someone's hand.
Amen.
And I think I told you this about 17 years ago as well. I make it a goal every day to try to meet at least one new person. That's 5 new people a week. And that's just to shake their hand, introduce who I am to them, and find out more about them. They have a product or service that they're trying to push as well. That's how we all survive. But once you shake their hand and you're face to face with them, and you recognize them at a different meeting, later on down the road, that's where the relationships start, and that's actually where the businesses start. is just first forming that brand new relationship by shaking hands and introducing yourself to people.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So everyone who's watching right now, whether you're live or on the replay, you need to share this out. Kenny's dropping some awesome nuggets right here. And I really think that we need to share to our own personal pages. And then if you have someone that is doing any kind of marketing, any kind of sales, anything like that, share it and comment that you shared. I'd appreciate that, because Kenny has been doing this a while and he freaking kicks ass at it, period. As a matter of fact, I don't know if you remember, but just before I moved, I had finally decided to do my body language as a business.
Yeah.
And I was working on a couple workshops and I was doing some stuff, and you were very gracious and sat me down after I talked about it. And you had been to a couple of my little workshops, and you pulled me aside and you gave me some great advice. Great advice. And the thing that I really respect about you and our relationship is that you tell me how it is. You know, it's not that you're mean about it, but you're just like, no, you're wrong. This is the way, you know. And one of the things that I remember the most about it is I had a price point. I don't remember what the price point was, but you're like, Dale, if you came to me with that price point, I wouldn't go. I was shocked. I was like, is it too expensive? And you said, no, it's not expensive enough. You need to increase the value by increasing the price per ticket or whatever it was. And that floored me, absolutely floored me, because I didn't have the self-worth to tell that to myself. But you had the compassion to pull me aside and say, no, that is not the way this should be. You need to do it this way. And that's another one of your many, many, many lessons that you shared with me that really stuck with me. And I appreciate that, man.
Oh, you know, I want to tell you, you weren't wrong. I don't want to prove people wrong. And I mean that with all sincerity. Proving people wrong doesn't do any good. Just understand that people have different thoughts. So it's not wrong, just different. And so you have to get other people to understand what the difference could be, rather than, you know, calling them out and telling them that they're wrong, because nobody's wrong. We all have an opinion, and our opinion is right in our minds. And so you're not wrong. You're just different. And, you know, I just want to make sure that people understand that.
Yeah. Yeah. And you do it very well, man. You really do. So what's in the future for you? I mean, you're currently an elected official. You're still doing payroll. What's next for you?
Well, I don't know. I'm letting God lead my heart. And, you know, I sit on a number of different boards right now. And this is another nugget that I hope people will take away, is that volunteering in the community is huge. No matter where you are, you know, volunteering, if your passion is kids, go to a Kiwanis group. If your passion is community service, you know, volunteer to have one of those road signs for trash pickup. Do you know what I mean? I volunteer. I'm on the board of our church, you know, so if you go to an establishment or you know, frequent a church or something, get involved, you know, help other people. That's what it's all about. Crime Stoppers. I'm on the board of Crime Stoppers. I have been since 2014, I believe. Just get involved, get to know some people, and show people that, you know, what I'm selling is me. And what I can do is literally go out there and say, this is what I'm involved in the community. I do this, 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 and this. And that really opens the door for you to sell what you're truly selling, which is, you know, payroll in my instance. But people, you know, if they trust you, they're going to want to do business with you. They're not going to want to go anywhere else. And this goes back to the point where you just talked about. They'll pay more for it because of who you are. And it's a win-win. There is nobody that's ever come back to me and says, Kenny, your advice is really horrible.
Right.
Most of them come back and thank me and say, you know, thanks for the advice. I tried it. It worked for me. And maybe it works for 99.9% of the people, and that 1% or that 0.1%, it might not work, but I'll bet you they're doing something similar.
Right. I absolutely agree with that, you know, and, you know, it's interesting how business right now is kind of, it's interesting to me to see the pendulum swing in sales and business. And you've seen this pendulum swing many times in your career, is that we go from the hardcore driven salespeople where we as consumers are okay with being sold to, and then that pendulum swings where no, we as consumers want to build a better relationship with those who the like, know, and trust factor. And it's interesting now with this technology and how the online market is changing a little bit, how that pendulum's back over to, relationship building and relational sales, and how people want to look at whomever they're buying from in the face. And I love that. Absolutely love that.
Yeah, it's important to know who you're working with. Who you're buying a product or service from. Um, I don't know. Let me tell you this. This is something I learned a long time ago too. Salespeople are the easiest people to sell.
Yeah.
You can sell a salesperson anything. I mean, an example would be if I ever wanted a new vehicle or a truck, if I walk on the lot and the first sales guy comes up to me and says, "Hey, which one do you like?" I'll just point at one and say, "I'll take that one," just because I know what they're there for. Just because we don't sell the same product, I know they're there trying to make a living as well. I know that they have the intelligence and the smarts to be able to inform me about what I'm purchasing. It's just like body language. I've been trying to sit here with you watching me without folding my arms. I'm not leaning back in my chair, and my feet are flat on the ground, just so you know. Right? Because sales guys are the easiest ones to sell. And so I don't want you to be able to critique me after this is all over and saying, "See, this is what I'm talking about. Kenny was closed. He had his arms closed. He was leaning back. Was he really intrigued in the conversation?" So
all right. I
know you, brother.
Well, and it's funny, you're talking about the sales, selling sales guys, and there's a lot of times where, a sales guy at wherever, doesn't matter where it is, walks up and just starts right into a sales technique. And it depends on my mood for the day, but some days I'll let them go and go and go when I'm trying to be a jerk about it. I don't know why I do that, but most of the time I'll just say, "Hey, listen, I know what you're doing. I know where you're going with this. Let's just cut to the end to save us both some time. Here's what we're looking for. Here's what we're doing," and move forward. And especially the young sales guys that are still going through the sales training, and they're hitting all their points, and they're saying the right words in the right order and doing all that, all that stuff. And I chuckle. I chuckle. And my wife's like, why are you laughing?
Yeah, think about this though. I mean, just imagine if you were to walk in. I'll use the car dealership again, just because it's an easy example. But let's just imagine you walked onto a car dealership and you're looking for a vehicle, and you know what you're looking for. The sales guy, the next guy that's up. You call them up in the sales industry. The next guy that's up is going to come out here and he's going to try to start with this script that he just got trained. He may be the new guy. He needs to sell a car to impress his boss, what have you. I mean, just imagine if us as consumers went out there and he came out and started his pitch and you just said, "Whoa, wait a minute, stop. Why don't you tell me a little bit about yourself? Who are you?"
Yep.
What would change in that whole conversation? That's the relationship part. You can start a relationship right there with them and teach them that it's not always about what you have to offer. It's about what's inside of you. And so that's what I try to do. I try to go, and if somebody tries to sell me something and I'm looking for a service or product, I just stop them and say, "Look, I already know what I'm looking for. I'm looking for maybe a better price, but I already know why I'm here. Tell me a little bit about you. How long have you been working in this area? Where'd you go to school? Did you grow up here? Are you from a different state?" I mean, that's the biggest question right now. Where are you from? Because there's so many people moving to Idaho. And just to start a personal conversation with somebody, number one, it lowers the defenses on both sides. He's not trying to sell me now, and I'm not trying to sell, or try to negotiate with him right away. What I'm trying to do is just build that relationship so that I can get into a trusting environment and just say, "Okay, now I want to talk to you about the product because now I know a little bit personally about who you are." And they'll share. People love to share. They love to talk. And another nugget to understand is to listen.
Yes.
Allow people to speak. Don't cut them off, and don't try to be the one that's trying to impress in the conversation. Listen. Listen to what they're saying. You'll find out through conversation, well, as you listen to what they're looking for. Because I'm being sold something like a car doesn't mean the individual in front of me doesn't know somebody that needs payroll, right? So just to listen and understand what they're going through and their process in life, and maybe they question me and say, well, so what do you do for a living? And I tell them payroll. And they mention, oh, my dad's got a small business over in your neck of the woods, blah, blah, blah. That's a great connection for me to make as well. And with this new relationship, he's going to introduce me to that person. Yep. So, yeah, I mean, there's just all kinds of different techniques and ways to build relationships. That's just one.
Yeah. Well, and you're absolutely right. And the other part of that equation also is, well, so part of it, though, I wonder if as consumers, if we are so time impatient, we just want to go in, buy, blah, blah, just bang through this scenario. Or the other part of that also that struck me is that one of the things that you and I discussed a lot over the years, and you really helped me understand, specifically when you helped me as an ambassador for the Chamber of Commerce there, is that not everyone's ready to buy right now. Right. And the difference between hardcore lick and stick sales versus relational sales and building those long-term relationships is that you're not going to need me right now, but I'm going to be top of mind with you because you're going to keep seeing me. And you're going to keep seeing me, and you're going to keep hearing from me, and I'm going to call you, and we're just going to talk. I'm not going to pitch you. I'm not going to sell you. But guess what? When it's time for my widget or service, guess who you're going to be thinking of?
Yeah, exactly.
And the other thing that I absolutely loved about my time with you in the Chamber of Commerce was that how many times, let me ask you this question. How many times a day or a week do you get a phone call for something you don't do? For a referral or for advice on something that you don't do?
I probably get each day somewhere between 5 and 7 phone calls, just from the number of people that I've built relationships with in the community over the past 17 years. 5 to 7 phone calls a day, probably asking me, hey, do you know a company that does this, that offers this product? Or do you know somebody that's trusting in this area, so on and so forth? I mean, and that was my whole goal. My whole goal with building my relationships out in the community was so that it would sustain my payroll business. Mm-hmm. And it's done that. It's done that because now all of the clients that I sign and promise to do, the best possible payroll service that I can provide here, they see that. And then they tell their friends and their friends tell their friends, so on and so forth. So that's how any salesperson that lives on a residual commission, or on a specific flat commission, it's building that pipeline through the relationships that you built with your current clients. So yeah, it's a win-win when you do it that way. And when somebody calls me and says, hey, Kenny, do you know a guy that can cut trees? I don't cut trees. I sell payroll, but they're calling me. Why are they calling me? There's a thing called Google that they could Google and say, Idaho tree cutters, Boise tree cutters. But they don't. They call me. And the reason they call me is because of that relationship I have with them. They trust me. They trust who I would send them to, because I don't build relationships with people that are negative. I don't build relationships with people that I don't trust. I don't build relationships with somebody that's going to affect the way people look at me. And that's a hard one, because a lot of those people out there maybe might not know that they're offending me, or they don't know that something is wrong between us or what have you, because I won't badmouth anybody.
Right.
We're, like I said, we're all different. We're never all wrong. We're just all different. And so I want to just make sure that I'm dealing and building relationships with individual people that I would personally do business with, that I trust, that would look after me, and I think those are the tightest relationships that you can have in the business world.
Oh, absolutely. And, here's a great example of that is that, when I got out of the cell phone industry years later, because of that philosophy and what you taught me and you helped me build over the time I was doing cell phone sales, years after, I was still getting phone calls from people because I was top of mind for them. And I probably didn't get 5 or 6 calls a day, but I got at least 2 calls a day from people asking the same kind of questions. Hey, do you know a plumber? Hey, do you know this? How do I do this? Where do I go for this? And, I had some buddies that were more hardcore sales, and they're like, God, doesn't that just annoy you? I was like, no, it tickles me pink. I love it, because guess what? When they're ready for a cell phone, when their boss starts complaining about their group plan, when their neighbor throws their phone down the street, guess who they're going to call every single time?
Yeah.
This dude.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah, it's a win-win for both of you, actually.
Absolutely.
Another piece of advice is on those relationships that you build out there. Just think of it this way: the more great relationships you build in the community personally, you will then extend your sales team. The referrals out there become your sales team. They're selling your product and service because they trust you. That's what
Amen.
a referral is. When you get a referral on the phone, when somebody calls you and says, "Hey, so and so referred me," you know what they've done is they've actually sold the product for you.
Amen.
So
Juan asks, what's your take on follow-up?
Well, so here's my take on follow-up. There's the ABCs of selling, and there's people out there that do sales training and coaching. And by all means, I'm not an expert. I'm not a person that goes out there and trains and teaches how to sell. But follow-up for me is just a simple, give somebody an option, tell them who you are, what you can provide for them, as opposed to what they're currently doing. If they, in fact, are interested, or they have an interest in their voice when I'm talking to them on the phone or even in person, and I hand them my card, and I get that feeling that, hey, maybe a follow-up is necessary, I'm always going to follow up with folks maybe 2 to 4 days later. Give them a call, ask them if they have any questions that might have come up after your conversation, whether that be on the phone or in person. You're calling them and saying, hey, we spoke a couple of days ago. Thanks for your time. Do you have any follow-up questions? I mean, I kind of gave you all my information in less than 30 seconds, right? So really not a whole lot of it probably sunk in. So are there any other questions that I can help you with? Sometimes you get that, oh, well, I think we're going to stay with who we are, who we're with, and that's fine. That's okay. But you'll see them again. You're going to see them again somewhere, and they're going to hear your name again because their friends or somebody else they know is working with you already or working with me. And so they'll hear your name again. And eventually, I'll tell you what, just the one follow-up phone call puts you back top of mind. And when you see them again in person a week, a month, 6 months later, that's a great conversation starter. Hey, we spoke 6 months ago. Do you remember? I met you here. We did, we talked about this. You guys still doing okay on your payroll thing? Are you still using your own software? Are you outsourcing it through someone else? I just wanted to let you know this 6 months ago when we talked, certain things might have changed in my business or for the payroll industry. And I think maybe you should know about it. I mean, you give them more and more information and you build that trusting relationship, they're going to call you.
Yeah.
Plain and simple. They're going to call you.
Yeah, for sure. All right, brother. We're at our half hour, man. That flew. Absolutely flew.
Oh,
I miss you, man. I miss you so much. I miss our times. I miss just spending time doing chamber events. You are a wellspring. You've been doing it. Your success record speaks for itself. I'm so excited for you, man. I'm so excited for this new journey you're taking as a public servant. Kudos to you. You've got bigger balls than I do, because I don't think that's something I would choose to do. But if anybody that I know that has the integrity to do the right thing and keep the ship going on the right course, it would be you, through and through, man. No doubt in my mind.
I'm just honored to be one of your interviewees. This is the first time I've ever been on Facebook Live doing an interview with anyone, and why not it be right. Dale? Because I love you, man. Hey, but let me say one more thing before you close out. You touched bases quite a bit regarding the chamber. That is strongly suggested from in my opinion, once again, it's just an opinion, that any business owner that has one or more employees should be affiliated with their community in some nonprofit organization. One of the best ways to do that and to start would be their local chamber of commerce. Doesn't have to be the main city or metro chamber, but just the city. Our company right now is affiliated with Boise, Meridian, Nampa, Caldwell, and Eagle chambers.
Wow.
All of them. We're a member of all of them. And one of those reasons for that, there's a sales technique for that as well. And it's because anybody that requests information regarding moving to the area, they normally get a visitor's guide of some kind. Well, the chamber's information is always in that. So
Yep.
when you look at the book or the list of members in the book, you're there. That's first and foremost. The other thing is volunteer opportunity.
Yeah.
If you volunteer to become a helper with the chamber, they are a nonprofit. All chambers are nonprofits, or most of them, as far as I know, are nonprofits. And when you volunteer time to get involved with the chamber in your community as an ambassador or as a chair for one of their subcommittees, something like that, you will grow exponentially when it comes to building relationships, plain and simple.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be my first advice: join a chamber, get involved. Once you do that, it's easy going from there, because you'll meet individual people that will invite you to new networking groups, new opportunities to go out to events, just all kinds of things. So it'll flourish and grow just from that opportunity by being a member of the chamber. So I'm glad you brought that up. Thank you.
Well, usually I end this with, "Hey, do you have any other nuggets you want to share?" You beat me to it. I didn't even have to say anything.
Oh, sorry.
That's how you roll. That's how you
I apologize.
roll. No, don't apologize.
Do you have one final question for me then, since I took that away from you?
You know what? Here's a question that I think this is a whole other episode that you and I could probably have a discussion. Is a while back I came up with a question, and I want to plan to see, and if you want to expand on it very quickly, is the difference between the question, "Who am I?" and if you flip two words in that, it's "who I am."
Right.
Going from a question to a statement. How important to you in personal development is it to go from asking "who am I" to making a statement and owning who I am?
Well, it's important. It should be important to everyone. I'm a faith-based guy. I'm a Jesus follower, and I'm a minister of Jesus, and that's the most important thing in my life. So it's really not about who I am. It's more about who Christ is in me, and that's, once again, that's just who I am.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just try to live day to day in the will of God. I'm always open for prayer. That's another thing that we didn't even really talk about, is that I get a lot of calls for prayer requests. And intercessory prayer for me is a true blessing, and I'm honored that people would call or text me to say a prayer for them or their family members or what have you. I'm not trying to convert anybody to what I believe. I just know who I am, and I know that I am a follower of Jesus. So I just want people to understand and recognize that about me as well. And to be truthful, Dale, I didn't do any of this. God did all of this for me just by me giving him me, just allowing him to work through me. So I'm truly blessed to know you, to have the opportunity to speak with you today. I hope when you come back into town, you'll call or email or text, and so we can catch up at lunch or something. And I would really appreciate that.
Done and done, man. Done and done. My class reunion's actually this summer, so we're going to be back in Idaho for a couple of weeks. So done and done, man.
Hey, tell Brandon I said hello.
Will do.
A hug and a kiss. I probably wouldn't even recognize him. I think you only had one the last time we talked. Now you have two.
Yep. Can you imagine this redneck having kids? Baffles me. But
I'll bet you're just a fun dad.
That's my job. That's
my
job.
Yes.
It was funny when we first decided we were going to have kids. I'm like, listen, we either need to put a lot of money in the bank for counseling, or our kids better have one hell of a good sense of humor, because I'm going to screw with them every day. All right, Kenny, man, I appreciate you, man. I love you, brother. Hang out for just a minute. We're going to wrap this up. Thanks, man. I appreciate you.
Yeah, God bless.
Everyone else, thank you for hanging out with us. Once again, this guy, Dale Maxwell, here in Kickassery. Man, what a great guy. I love Kenny. I miss that dude. I learned so much from him. And the legacy of leadership and the legacy is something that I'm really, really understanding now that I'm getting older, is how lessons that are taught to us, I a lot of times feel like we're obligated to take those lessons and move them on. So I really appreciate Kenny. If you guys got anything out of this, any nuggets, please share this out. Please make some comments, even on the replays. Let's have some great conversations. And just to throw this out there as well, I also started a Patreon page. So if this is something that you guys want me to continue to do and continue to grow, I would love to have a little bit of support on that as well. So we're going to be talking about that more on Friday. Guys, have an amazing day. Rock out your day. Keep smiling because somebody's going to need it. I'll talk to you guys soon.